Hello and welcome in the Iron Sultanate House of Wisdom video, and this one is the Alchemist focused faction. For units you can have one or two Alchemist, Faris as an elite, Kavas, Sultanate Sapper, Line of Jabir, Brazen Bull and Homunculus. As far as the rule goes for the Alchemist faction, the first one is the Alchemist, and this one says that you need to have at least one Alchemist all the time as a Warband leader technically, and additionally if you want to you can have a second one, and also it means that the Alchemist armor limit goes up to 2. The Kavasis are technically, so the Kavas is your Azeb in this faction, your general infantry, and they have a little bit different special rule which says that up to 3 of them can have +1 modifier on the melee statistics for 5 ducat instead of the skirmisher keyword, and as it just says on the description, it technically makes the -1 melee ability to +0, and the rest of the Kavas after that can have only the skirmisher keyword. The Noble Guardians rule simply says that your Janissaries are replaced by the Faris, and they are elite, and using the same unit profile as the Janissaries. The Pride of Jabir says that you can have maximum 3 Lion instead of 2, so you can have a bit more fast unit overall. The Private Venture rule simply says that you cannot have any Captain, Janissaries or Assassin in the Warband, so that's why it was not included or mentioned in the unit loadout, let's say. The Takwin Homunculus rule simply says that each of your alchemists can have one Homunculus, bind it to him, and it means otherwise that if you have 2 alchemists you can have 2 Homunculus in your Warband, if you have 1 you can have only 1. The Weapon Collection rule changed a little bit compared to the playtest, and right now it says that you can choose 1 piece of battle kit from New Antioch and Trench Pilgrim Armory, and this means you can choose weapon, armor, equipment, whatsoever. So the limits are kind of not existing anymore, only the very specific limitations are still applied for the weapon, so it's not worth to choose any equipment that is unique to a specific unit because you cannot use it in your House of Wisdom Warband. And the Secrets of the House of Wisdom simply says that all of your alchemists, so it means you can have maximum 2, so each alchemist can choose 1 specific bonus they can use for the entire campaign, and after you choose it you cannot change it. And the medicine upgrade is simply giving you medical abilities, let's say in short, but it simply says that your alchemist can make a medical or School of Medicine action, which is kind of a healing action with +1 dice. And if it's successful, you can either remove 2 blood marker or 1 infection marker from the alchemist or a friendly model within 1 inch, or stand up a friendly model within 1 inch of the alchemist, which is down. The Cartography and Geometry is giving you the possibility to give the Infiltrator keyword to maximum 2 unit for base size 32mm or less. The Secrets of Takwin is simply giving you kind of a bodyguard ability to the Homunculus, and if it's standing within 1 inch of the alchemist, it can take the damage instead of the alchemist. The Chemistry and Alchemy is giving you a special obstacle or piece of terrain you can place somewhere on the map, and this one is dangerous and difficult at the same time, and you can choose a fire, gas or shrapnel keyword as an extra to it. So it's good to block your enemies in a specific area, which is hopefully going to be useful for you during the game. The Philosophy, Poetry and Theology is giving you +1 dice for the morale checks, as long as the alchemist is not down or out of action, and also that alchemist is negating fear. So that can be also quite useful in some way. Which one is good for out of the 5? I think it's up to you what you want to play with your Warband, because all of them has some kind of flexibility and use, but for sure some of them may be a bit more advantageous than the other. As for the battle kits, the armor section has the Alchemist armor limit increased to 2. And there is 2 special items for the House of Wisdom. The first one is an elixir, which is a consumable, and whichever unit consumes it it gets the tough keyword for that match. And since it's a consumable, it means you need to rebuy this item after every match if you want to use it. And this item cannot be used by any other unit that has the artificial keyword. The fire shield is an upgraded trench shield. It has limit 2, and other than adding a -1 injury modifier, it also gives negate fire, and if the attack is coming from a weapon with fire keyword, it also adds a -1 for the injury dice for the opponent. As for unit profiles, the Pharisees looks like the following. So it's technically copy-paste Janissaries, but it has 0-2 availability and also got the elite keyword. And the Kavas looks like the following. The Homunculus is a very basic unit, as for 40 ducat, it just only has some abilities and cannot use any item. The abilities are Artificial Life, which gives -1 injury dice for the rolls, so it makes it more durable against attacks. The Pummeling Blows makes him possible to attack without weapon, and the Recreation gives it the possibility to revive it after it died in a post-injury sequence. So it means you can only revive it in the same phase, so you need to have the ducat in your treasury. If you don't have it, the Homunculus died and you need to create a new one from the zero. And as a very basic step, because it's more like a Lego to create a Homunculus, the first basic one is very good either to have a unit on the board or to make it stand next to your Alchemist if it has the Secrets of Tekwin upgrade, so it can take the damage instead of the Alchemist. Otherwise, you can either make, for example, a flying one and give it a flying ability for plus 30 ducat, but in that case some other upgrade is not possible anymore, so you need to decide if you want to make a flying one or not in advance. And also another option, if you don't want to make a flying one, you can make a normal one with human hands, for example, for plus 10 ducat. It can start to use weapons, but there is many more other upgrades you can choose from, which is giving, for example, plus dice for dash or melee characteristic, gives it elemental resistance, giving it fear keyword, fire team possibility, and so on. Or in the end you can make the Homunculus as big as a Brazen Bull and even to use Brazen Bull only weapons. So it's very Lego-like, but you always have to remember to have enough ducat in your treasury to revive it if it dies. Otherwise you can start over again, which is very expensive in that case. So this is kind of rule number 1 if you have Homunculus. As far as the campaign goes and the promotion, since the Homunculus and Brazen Bull is a very expensive unit overall, I would say they are the most likely candidates for promotion. And as secondary candidate, I would say probably the line of Jabir or Mercenaries. Overall, the House of Wisdom plays differently compared to the general Iron Sultanate, not just because of the limited units, let's say, but also because the units are more elite-like kind of, because the Brazen Bull is expensive and also the Homunculus is expensive if you give it a lot of different upgrade formula. So overall, it's a very flexible and reactive Warband thanks to the Homunculus. So you need to be very thoughtful in advance which upgrades you want to give it during the campaign, because it can be a very good set in your Warband overall, but also you shouldn't forget to keep enough money to revive it, because if it dies and you don't have enough money, you can start over to create it, so that's very expensive and you don't want to do that. And also the fact that you can create different type of Homunculuses is very interesting, because as I mentioned, you can create a simple standing one next to the Alchemist and it does nothing, or it can be either, for example, quick flying one, or like a smaller shooter or melee one, or like a bigger version, which is close to as big as a Brazen Bull. So it can be very dangerous overall, and also you can have more line of Jabir, and by more I mean one, but it still means you can have 3, and 3 of them can be also very terrifying if your opponent has smaller units mostly. And as an addition, the 2 Alchemist also gives you a bit of flexibility based on which upgrades you buy for them. And as I mentioned, all of them has some advantage, but also disadvantage, so you need to be very careful which one you choose. Again, it's probably mostly decided by which enemies you play against or what type of tactic you want to use mostly. So you can decide if you want to be a reactive person or the someone who initiates during the game. But overall, I would say it's a very interesting one. I think definitely the homunculus is the biggest addition here, that they can use them. And also, since there is no official miniature, you can go banana with the kit bashing. So it gives you very big creativity how you want to represent your homunculus on the board. And that's very interesting. And a lot of people already made some very interesting homunculus, which you can find on the official Discord, for example. It will be interesting to see in the future what kind of plastic kits they get, so I'm going to be very interested. But otherwise, this is the House of Wisdom. I think you should give it a try because it's a very interesting faction or sub-faction, and if you have any comment, please share it. Thank you for listening and watching. See you in the next one. Thank you and bye bye.